All right, so I'm checking the corn that we planted in the wheat, and it actually looks pretty good. I didn't think that it was going to come up because the wheat was so thick that we killed, but it's actually really good looking corn. I was surprised. Here, I'll turn the camera around so you can see. And it's coming up pretty. There's the inrows in the back. Pretty good stand. I'm surprised. Right now, look at the main roots. There's the main roots. As you can see, she's coming through. Looks pretty good. It's growing taller than I thought already. Now there is some bare spots, but if you pull some of the wheat stubble back, it actually, the other parts are starting to come up. It all didn't come up at one time, so it's a big field. Took a chance on it. I thought the wheat looked good, but Pop wanted it done, so we did it. So, and it was thick wheat too. I mean, real thick. I mean, look, here's the main rows. I mean, you can see, look, I mean, they're spread apart perfect. I mean, corn is really tall. I'm really surprised. I'm surprised that it looks as good as it does. I didn't think it would come up because on our planter, we really needed row cleaners to get this to where I think it was going to work good. But them front coulters really put it in there. So we'll have to wait till it gets a little bit taller to see if we have any bare spots. But I mean, even, you know, out in the field, you can see it. I mean, it's coming. I mean, where's it at? I mean, right there and right there. I mean, I didn't think it was going to come up at all. It's right out back of the home farm. Here's the other side of the field. You can see where I mean, it's coming up down every row. I'm surprised. I didn't think it would work, but it did. There's the main rows. I mean, as you can see, they look pretty good and pretty full. I'm very surprised. Right along here. You can see it coming up. I mean, this was some thick wheat too. I felt like we should have turbo tilled it first. I mean, look at the rows, they're just full all the way up. I felt like we should have turboed it and then went ahead and planted it, but it's amazing how that corn can still grow between, I mean, with that thick cover over top of it. It just pokes, when it wants to come through, it just comes right through it. Now I'm sure that we didn't get the germination that we would have out of, you know, if it wasn't as thick, but for just trying it this year, I'm actually impressed. I mean, there are some spots where the stuff's real thick and you haven't seen anything come through yet, but I mean, that's not saying it's not gonna pop through eventually, but I'd still rather turbo it and kind of chop that up first and then go ahead and plant in it. But we didn't have that option. Our big tractor was hooked up to the disc across town while they were putting sludge on with the disc doing that, so, and the other one was hooked up to the planter. I really wish we had one more. I really wish we had one more articulated big tractor, like a 92, something like we got, a 9200, 9220, you know, something you can buy cheap, but it's got the modern cab like the one we have. We had an 8640, but it was just old inside. It just was miserable to drive. It's nice with the newer models. The cab is, you know, newer. It's got the finger controls, the GPS you can put on it. I really wish we had one more of them. And you can buy them cheap as hell now. But hopefully eventually we can get one more of them. That way we can have the turbo and the disc hooked up, or the chisel plow and the disc hooked up, instead of unhooking all the time. it's shame that shit costs as much as it does, because I'd really like to get a big tractor, another big tractor, a used one, cheap one, and then get another like an 8235R, something that it'll take the 4440's place for mowing, and that'd be a good tractor for my brother to use baling, because she'd still have high horsepower, but she'd be big enough to hook up to her big equipment, but she's small enough to hook up to the, the little shit with the 540 and 1000 PTO. But everything just costs so much money. That's what we really need, but good Lord. Need that. I'd really like to have a field cultivator, like a 40-foot field cultivator with a basket on the back for finishing right before you plant. Run that right in front of the planter, because it just does good tearing shit up, but it's not a good finisher because it doesn't have the baskets, and you get all them little chunks of soil that's still stuck together. But them baskets, they'll break that up. But you don't really need to run it that deep in front of the planter, and you can incorporate some stuff with it. But it'd be nice having at least a 40-foot one, because the tractor will pull it. So it'd be nice having a 40-foot one, if you can find one with a basket to get one. Because I've looked online, you can find them pretty cheap for some decent used ones. But everything just costs so much, and then you got shit you want. And then grain prices, $3.50 corn, but who knows. One day, I need everything. A couple more updated equipment. It'd be nice to find more farmland, but they want so much for that, so that's hard to do. It'd be nice to have irrigation. Then you wouldn't have to worry about finding more farmland. We can stick with what we got and just grow a lot better crop, especially when it doesn't rain. That's like our idiot neighbors. They put irrigation in, they won't even run it. Now's the time they need to be running it. That's one thing I'll say about a neighbor we used to have, AW. He was always cocky, but he would always say, don't use irrigation when you need until you need it. You use it when you get the crop and you get the most potential. Why wait until you get a drought and then decide to turn it on when your crop's already been hurt? You ain't doing nothing then. But our family doesn't believe in looking for the future. They worry about everything now, and then we got a stepmom that's a piece of crap that she wants us to fail anyway, just so she can sell everything. And we're not gonna let that happen. So we'll see. If anybody wants her, they can have her. We'll sell her to you cheap, 50 cents. Take you back here and show you my corn. All right, let's check the 75-day corn out. As you see, I burnt some of the leaves when I was dribbling nitrogen on it, but it'll be all right. But this is the difference. We got corn that's just coming up, and then we got this tall stuff. It looks good though, nice and thick. I mean, real pretty corn. Now this is the first year we've ever used it, this corn, but I mean, look how fat these stalks are already. I don't know much about it. Actually, our salesmen don't know much about it because they plant a lot of it up in Canada. But I mean, it's tall and looks really good all the way back. I'm actually surprised in how, if we could just get some damn rain. I put the nitrogen on thinking it was supposed to rain the next day because it kept calling for it, and then it never happened. So but that always comes out. That always happens anyway when we're dribbling it on. You'll have some burnt leaves and stuff, and it'll fill itself back out. Right there, that's where I got them to put the manure pile at, in these couple bare spots. You put too much manure on the ground when you're scooping it and spreading it, it seems like you can't never get anything to grow in that spot for that year. But it looks good though. I mean, that's a sand hill, and look how tall that corn is still. You can tell the difference where it goes from good ground to a little bit of sandier ground, but it's still, doing really good on that sand hill. tall and pretty. Tall and pretty. I'm impressed with it. Let's hope it does good. It needs to really start growing so I can get some. I really wish it, I mean, this year was bad because it just stayed cold for so long. I mean, this is weird how this year is, but it stayed cold for so long. You know, it might hurt my chance of putting beans in, but as long as I can get it out by August 1st, some beans are going in the ground. I'm going to put some 4-2 plenish in behind it. I remember the guy, Agrimonus, said to put 3/7s, but I'm not. I'm going to put the 4-2s. Everybody thinks it'll yield a little bit better. So, and it don't normally get cold here until freaking December, January. I mean, that's not even cold. It just gets cool then. So I think that they'll still have time to grow, and the days are still plenty long enough. You know, if I can get them in early, get them up, I think it'll all work out pretty good for the best. So try to get 2 crops off. I know you guys are excited to see it, and so am I. So maybe that'll help us get some extra shit. We can get this figured out. If it works this year, I definitely want some of our good ground do it next year, because next year it might get warmer quicker. You know, it's just one of them years where it stayed cold pretty much up till last week before that. So, and it's what, May? It's almost the end of May now. So we'll try it. If it works, we can do a little bit more. And this is like a test farm, but this corn right here is actually our best looking corn. And this is a corn that it was in the ground for 3 weeks before it decided to come up. But once it come up, it just, I mean, it took right off. They say that's the one problem with this corn, is it does take a while for it to get up. But once it gets going, it goes. So we'll see. I'm very happy with it so far. We'll just have to see how 75-day corn yields. So, and then we can make a determination for next year. I know they had 75, and then they had some 83-day corn, but I didn't want to take a chance on. I know the days don't sound much longer, but I didn't want to take a chance on a little bit later day. I wanted the earliest I could get. So we'll see how this goes this year, and then we'll figure out the rest of it for next year. But I think it'll do all right. If I can get 2 crops off this one farm, then that's really doing something. You know, 2 of your good crops off of it in 1 year, then I think it's really gonna be a game changer. But we'll see. All right, we're checking some soybean fields. As you can see, they are coming up pretty work. This here's the last field that I planted. Great job. The backfield are the ones I planted first. I just went by a farm that the very first farm I planted, but I wasn't even thinking about it either. So we'll see if we can get this backfield. I might have to zoom in. Oh yeah, they're nice looking. There's the last field I planted up front, but look at the back. You can see the difference in them. So they look good. We'll go check our corn. This is the last cornfield that I planted, and then I switched over to bean and started planting. I wish I filmed the first bean field that I did, because they came up real nice. I mean, they look really pretty. So we'll check these out. Check the corn out. The very last farm I planted. All right, here's the last corn that I planted. I know you can't really see it too good. I'll show you in a second. Looks, you can see some rows. That looks pretty decent though. Going up pretty. we go. Yeah, I'd say that's some pretty good corn. That's where they put the sludge at. So it looks good so far. I had to come over and probably hit it with a sprayer and dribble. Let's go check the other side of it. There's two sides of this farm. There you go, you can see them. The window's dirty. I'm in my little S10, my little runaround pickup. But, I mean, it came up very pretty. This is a farm that it took forever to get done because of the sludge. It took them forever to put it on. We got her. You see, my planter did a good job. Everything's pretty consistent, spacing and everything. This is Pioneer 1197. Where I planted over here. And there's some right in this little first bottom right here is decob 105 day. I didn't use but 6 bags of it. I didn't have to use but 6 bags of it, but they say it does really good. So I put it side by side with the 1197, so when I'm in the combine, I'll be able to see which one does better. I mean, it's same ground all the way across, so we'll see what corn does better. Try it out anyway. If you like the video, thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button or tell people to subscribe so I get more subscribers. I would have showed you more of me dribbling, but you can't really do anything with the phone when you're trying to run between them rows. So, anyway, have a good day.